All right, Patreon viewers, we are back here with Parker head coach Carly Rozell in her second season, fresh off of the BEC tournament win just a few weekends ago, the first title since 2012. Coach Rozell, what does that mean to your program, and just what does it mean to have such a hot start to the season?
I think it's really great for us. I think it really. I've been telling them from the beginning, because we have a lot of seniors. I have 9 seniors on the team this year, and I think I've been telling them that I have such high expectations for them, and I think the first couple of weeks, before school started and practice started, I don't think they liked me very much those 2 weeks, but I think that just goes to show, all of our preparation and every little thing that we're doing is, really paying off, and it just kind of makes it all seem worth it, and especially for the girls that are putting in a lot of time and outside hours, and when we're not here, to just even be making, good choices of, with everything going on in the world, to make sure that we can play volleyball as long as we can.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely shows you're one of the remaining undefeated teams in the state. And I know you talked about your expectations, but what are some of the things that you preach and kind of teach to your girls to keep them focused day in and day out?
I think the biggest thing is we go by relentless. That's kind of our one word that we describe what we're doing, is we just want to be relentless defensively and offensively, just to be nothing is going to happen that we don't want to happen, or along the lines of, if that happened, okay, what are we going to do to fix it? So kind of just taking the responsibility of our actions and then turning them to figure out how to get a different result.
Nice, awesome. And just a true test to your talent. I mean, last time I looked at your guys' schedule, the consistency you have, and your team is just incredible. And the fact that you've beat multiple teams more than once. I mean, Montrose, Sioux Valley. What does it take to do that, and what does that kind of show you about your team's strengths?
I would say, our Sioux Valley game was not easy by any means, and neither was our Montrose. They're both very good teams, very athletic teams, and I think that just goes to show for my team of how much they just love to play volleyball and how competitive they are. And that's something I don't know that they were totally used to, is all the competing that we do. We compete in everything that we do, even in practice.
Yeah. Whether
it's serving or hitting or passing, I just try to keep it as a competition, so that way when it gets to a game, it's kind of oh, we've done this before. And so I think it just more speaks to them and their passion, and they all want to get better all the time. There's never a time that they are not wanting to know what they did wrong or things like that. So
awesome. Yeah. And as I said earlier, just your second year as a head coach, obviously, I mean, by the book, you're doing a good job, but what are some kind of notes maybe to other young coaches? What have you really grown on these last 2 years? And maybe what are the differences in your coaching style between, year 1 and year 2?
I think obviously every teacher, coach out there knows the relationships is the biggest part. And I totally believe that. Just in only 2 years, I think the relationships that I have with some of the girls, or most of them, is just super awesome, and I love being around them. It just makes it coming to practice and putting in the extra time so much more valuable to me, because I do truly care about all of them. But then I think my coaching style, I don't think has changed very much in the last 2 years, besides the fact that I kind of get to say, well, that we did this last year, so we're doing it this year kind of thing. I just kind of have a little back to me, as they know about it, and it wasn't all fresh. But I also am getting a little bit more technical, I would say, about our movements and just the things that we're doing. Because last year I didn't want to be too overwhelming with everything. So I would say don't let the first year, if I would say anything to any new coach, don't let the first year decide if you continue or not, because I'm not saying my first year was bad. My first year last year was great, and I have a lot of fun memories from last year, but I think it can be so different year to year, because every amount of time that you spend with kids makes a difference. So the more time you spend with them, the better things are going to go. So.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to allow for kind of that grace or adjustment period too for the girls to catch up with you. But why don't we kind of go into some of your individual athletes? I know you talked about 9 seniors that you have. One that's really stuck out to me is Riley Anderson, a senior on the outside. She takes, a ton of good swings for you guys. And can you kind of talk about how she is as a senior, as a leader, and as, one of those solid positions as an outside, taking a lot of the swings, like I said?
Riley is a great leader, both on and off the court. She is a very hard worker. She would do just about anything that I asked her to, and she really loves volleyball, and she puts in a lot of time outside of school and outside of our practices in order to get better. She's a great kid, and I think she is just getting better every single day. There's never a day that I question Riley's commitment to Parker volleyball.
Yeah, such an awesome, solid person to have in that leadership role. And why don't you talk about some of your other senior leaders? Like you said, you have 9 total, Riley just being one of them. Everyone kind of has a different role, or do the seniors kind of approach it as a group?
I think they all have their own role, but they've been playing together for so long that they gel and mesh really well together. I have my other outside, Shelby Lang. She is kind of our leader on the court that will be like, all right, enough is enough. Let's figure it out and, get a point if we're struggling or something like that. She's kind of the person to take on that role of, getting everybody going again. Mm-hmm. My setter, Sierra Moore, she is also a senior. She's my level-headed one. You never really see much emotion out of her. She never gets too high, never gets too low, which is really awesome, especially to have at a setter. You need that mental toughness, and she is able to adjust on the fly. Her and I have a lot of conversations just about our game plans for playing against different teams and where we're going to place the ball or what kind of routes we're going to be running. So she does a really great job just being mentally tough. Mm-hmm. And then in the back row, I have Grace DeWald and Brianna Jensen. Grace DeWald is one of the most positive people you will ever meet. She is amazing, great leader, super hard worker, and will go after anything. She could be all the way in at the back end line and will get a ball that lands at the 10-foot line. So she's pretty great. And then I have Brianna Jensen again. She has been working her butt off, and I think I have seen so much improvement out of her in the back row. She is our libero and just doesn't want anything to drop. And so she works really hard to get everything that she can. And she's had some amazing digs and saves for us that really get us going. So when she gets a really great dig, everybody kind of lifts up their energy and everything. And then I have Sarah Herlin. She plays middle for me. She is a great blocker. She does a lot of things very good and works hard again. She is one of those players that, again, can get along with everybody and just works really well with everybody and never makes anybody feel left out or anything. She's really great to get everybody involved in everything that we do. And then Morgan Carlson, she's my right side. She does a really good job of placing the ball as a right side hitter.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately for Morgan, she's got a little bit of a tougher job because I played right side when I was in college, so I'm a little bit pickier with what the things that she does, but she handles it very well and is always willing to take in more information. And then I have two other seniors that right now don't play, but I could definitely maybe see that happening in the future. I have Ellie Hansen. She is a middle right side hitter, another great person, great kid, works super hard, and definitely pushes my my other varsity players. If you start to slow down, she'll get right next to you and make you know that you can't slow down. You have to keep working just as hard. And then I have Abby Gavette. She plays back row, and again, probably one of the more positive people you will meet. She works really hard and just really does a great job of cheering on her teammates and being positive. So that is all my seniors.
Yeah, great kind of role distribution there, and I think that's what you see from the best teams is that there's a little bit of everything. Not everyone can be the star player, and if everyone can embrace the role, that's really going to be best, for the team.
Yeah.
And then the last athlete I'll ask you about is, our future 50 alum, Brooke Behrens, junior middle blocker. I actually just realized she was a junior a couple weeks ago. I thought she was a senior this whole time until I finally checked the roster. I was like, oh, Brooke's just a junior, so she's got, more time left to grow. But something that I've been super impressed with her is just the growth that she's seen in the past year. It's so notable. If you look at her game from last year right next to this year, it looks like a different athlete. Did she change anything mindset wise, or just, keep grinding away?
I think there was kind of a lot of things that she changed. Her and I get along really well, and she is very willing to do anything that I asked her. She has worked a lot in the off season as well as during volleyball just to be more efficient with the way that she moves and being quicker. Mm-hmm. So she's doing well, and I can only see her getting better.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but I know you have maybe a big couple next couple weeks coming up, and what are you guys up to the next couple games, couple weekends?
We actually have a couple tough games. I made some changes to our schedule after last year, and I put some tougher teams on our schedule and got us in a couple of different places. But so this week, tonight we play Chester, and then Thursday we go to Baltic, and then Saturday we have a really tough day. We're in the Pentagon, and we're with Sioux Falls, O'Gorman, Northwestern, Western Christian, and there's one other team. Dakota Valley. Okay. So we'll have a tough weekend, but I'm super excited about it because it's really going to show us where we're at and where we need to get better. So I think the girls are ready to take on the challenge, and only time will tell what is going to happen. So,
yeah, well, great time in the season really to test yourself before postseason. We'll be here quicker than you even realize. But
yes.
Again, Parker head coach Carly Rozell, just her second season, off to a great start, and we try to keep up as much as we can with you guys. We watch your games on NFHS. That network, and again, we'll keep up with you guys in the weeks to come, and good luck with the coming week.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, hey everybody, welcome back. This is Darren Tipton with Adrenaline Volleyball, and I'm going to do a segment of Coffee with the Coaches today. And we're lucky enough to be joined by Trent Osborne, head coach of the Ipswich Tigers. So, Coach, thanks, and good to talk to you today.
Good morning. We're always happy to talk to somebody who is promoting volleyball in South Dakota the way you folks are.
Thanks, bud. Well, we appreciate it. So let's talk about this Ipswich Tigers team. First of all, looking at the roster, one thing that jumped out to me before we were recording here was the roster itself, and this is an experienced team, 10 seniors. A huge senior class, especially for a Class B program. But talk about this senior group a little bit, and just talk about the experience that your team has. So I'm sure a lot of people really probably haven't got to see you guys play yet this year.
Yeah, this group of girls has been a very close-knit group all along. It's interesting how you can end up with 10 seniors on a group, on a team like this that are so in tune to each other and care about each other, about with the accomplishments that some of them have achieved over the last couple of weeks in our program, that you don't have infighting and those kind of things very often, just because they're there for each other and always have been.
Right. And we talk about that too. So the chemistry, close knit group chemistry, which is so important at this part of the year, and as we go into November. So tight knit group, what is the chemistry like on the team?
They really enjoy just being together, and the accomplishments. It might be for one person, but they all get to be part of that. That's
Right.
it takes three contacts to get it over the net. So there's always something that when one girl does well, it's because somebody else did something well also. And they feed off of each other. We have lots of different girls that fit into specific pieces or molds. We have some leaders that really jump out. Allie Hines, Chesney Olivier, Lindsay Grabowska. Those girls are our captains and kind of lead the show. But everybody else follows in and does their specific things that really allow us to gel and keep going like we have been and keep improving every year.
And we had a chance to talk at the state tournament last year, and we'll touch on this more. But you guys made SODAC 16 last year, knocked off, I think, us on a chance to go to the state tournament by Burke, which was a semifinal team. It was a great match. But talk about the growth of this group from year to year, and just the growth of your program, right? Because you play such a tough schedule in that Northeast South Dakota, and it's known for great volleyball, especially at the Class B level. So talk about kind of the steps of your program and growing with this group, and kind of, I don't know if narrowing the gap is the right term, but taking the next step every year with them. Just talk about their growth.
Well, if you take a look at our conference in particular, over the last number of years, forever with Northwestern and Warner, and getting to play them early in the season just shows us the speed of the game and how we need to improve every year. And those are two of the programs that we kind of really look at. This is how we want to play. This is the swagger and confidence that you have to have in order to be able to go to the SODAC 16 or the state tournament. And then, we finish up later in the year with Langford, who has, with Addie Dwight and Chesney Olson leading them over the last couple of years. We're a very tough team.
Right.
And then Fulton. So we look at those programs, and this is how we want to play. And if we can play a state tournament schedule in our conference every year, you're only going to grow and get that confidence that you can play with anybody else in the state if you can play along with those teams.
And that's awesome, Coach. That's an awesome philosophy, because we just happened to talk with Nora earlier this week, and we talked about what they have coming up on Saturday, and it's funny how the best programs and the top teams that are programs that are striving to take the next step, I hear from almost every single coach, our schedule needs to be tougher. We need to play the best teams. It'll make us better. They're not shying away, and you guys do that. Is that something? How do you attack that? Because maybe you don't defeat those teams, but how do you build the girls' confidence as you narrow the gap? And how do you teach them to play faster and play with that intensity and that confidence when maybe you're not necessarily picking up a victory when you play Northwestern? How do you bridge that gap? What do you do?
There's goals in every game that we look at. And sometimes, over the years, it's been get the double digits against Northwestern. If you've done that, then you've done something. But, we put Northwestern and Warner in a week. We play Warner on a Tuesday. We play Northwestern on Thursday. And we tell the girls, this is state tournament. Right there. And if you can get through that week, have learned something, and still have confidence in yourself and your teammates, then you've had that mental strength that you could battle 3 days in a row with teams. So we really like that week. We've got a couple of different names for it. But yeah, it's a growth week, and the more we play games like that and get used to the speed of really good teams, we have just grown exponentially down there.
So let's talk about the team this year. I think, is it 14-2 the overall record? 13-2 right now, and as we talk about with a win, Aberdeen Christian, Groton kind of going through here a little bit. You had talked about a new look Langford team, which you had beaten twice in the past week, but the losses to Warner and Northwestern, 4 sets with Warner. Talk about that match in particular, because they were coming back. You started that week with Warner and then finished with Northwestern. Talk about the match with Warner. How do you guys match up? How did you play in that match? And what did the girls learn from that match? Because it did go 4 sets.
Mentally, we became a little bit stronger. We were up, I think 7-1 in game 1, and then Warner just gutted it out, did the right things. They're so fundamentally sound that you can't make mistakes.
Right.
And we let them back in, and then battled, towards the end. And then in years past, we would have shut down. But we came back strong, won game 2, and then the matchups. I tried to spin the dial a little bit and try to get us a better matchup, and their outsides kind of just took it to us in games 3 and 4, and we couldn't put the ball to the floor because of their defense.
Yep.
But you go through that night, and you see little mistake here, little mistake there, something positive there, and that just feeds us then for later. We would love to have another shot at them later on, and to see how we've improved.
Right.
Through the rest of the schedule.
Well, and I think you talk about that. You bring out some important things about. I'm sure you go back that week at practice. Well, then 2 days later you have Northwestern, and then I'm sure when you get some practice time. Well, you guys didn't have a lot of practice time, because then it looks like on that Saturday following. Did you guys host a tournament then on the 19th? Okay, yeah. So how do you – that's always been my thing with volleyball. When we get to this time of year and people play a Tuesday, a Thursday, a Saturday, how do you not let that get the girls down, because you don't have a ton of practice time in there to work on specific things? How did you keep their attitude improving and their confidence up going through those 2 matches without a couple days just to sit down and really hammer things out fundamentally? Did you do specific things to work with the team or talk with the team after those 2 matches?
We do. They know that those teams are really good, and but we depend on those seniors.
Right.
That's their job. Each one of them has a little something that they bring to practice, and they need to make sure that we are positive the next day, because that game's over. Anytime you lose, we talk about, loss stands for learning opportunity, stay strong. That's why we have to look at it all the way through the season. We get better every time, every
So now after that, looks like reeled off another 5 wins in a row and 4-0 in your Ipswich tournament, and then defeated Langford area last night. Upcoming, we had hinted at it, and I mean, you guys, ranked and up there in our power poll, but it's so, I mean, it literally is almost like a conference within the power poll and the rankings. You could take 4 teams up in that area. A couple weeks from now, Fulton, that we've watched a lot, and they're a team maybe similar to you guys, where they had to build and built with a pretty athletic class a couple of years ago, never have been to the state B. And now they're looking at trying to get back for the third time. Is that a rivalry match, or is it just like any other conference match? And where do you guys stack up with Fulton? Even though it's a couple matches away, but that's enticing for us to look at, because another two solid teams that are going to factor into the state tournament race. How do you match up, and what do you think of Fulton this year?
Well, we would definitely like to think of that as a rivalry game. They're 30 miles down the road, and we've battled with them over the last couple of years. They've come up on the winning end of that, but we've had some success with those things. So I think we match up again good. It's going to definitely be a tooth and nail type deal. We get them at home this year, which is nice to have some home cook and have our crowd. They'll be ready for that, and our girls are always looking forward to playing a difficult team like that. Right. We know we'll have to stop Milius and Ace-Up and a number of them, and we're going to have to put together one of our best matches to come out at the end, hopefully on top.
What's it been like this year, Coach? We talk about everything different. We try and be positive here, not focus on what might happen, but what has happened. But what's it been like not having a lot of it? A big off season. Have the girls settled in? It's probably been a benefit to you guys having such an experienced group, especially this year. But what's the routine been like?
There was not near as much contact this summer as we'd like. A lot of girls did stuff outside on their own and in small groups, so that was nice. But we've spent more time with the fundamentals of the game and the philosophy, strategies of the game that we normally would have talked about during the summer. So that's taking up some practice time. But I think it's kind of been a good refresher to talk about those things that maybe you didn't think you had time for before, because you're working on the next team, you're looking at that scouting report or whatever. But we really enjoy the talking strategies and being ahead of the game for that, and that this summer has forced us to do that now.
Okay, what do you need to do? Goals, and I know not overlooking teams, but what do you need to do in the next 6 and 8 matches to get yourself ready for district play? What are your practice to practice goals? What are your long-term goals? Getting Ipswich ready to be as good as they can in the postseason.
We really have worked recently on being less predictable. We want teams to have to worry about us in a number of places. They can't just focus on one area. If you look at our stats, you see we've got kills kind of mixed around in a lot of different places, so you can't load up on us in one spot, hopefully. So that's one of the ideas, and the other one is just error reduction. You can't be your own worst enemy when you come to the end of October and tournament time in November. Teams have to be able to earn points rather than just us handing them away.
What do you think the group learned last year, getting to that SODAC 16, getting so close, large group of seniors? What was a lesson they learned that you think might be enough to get them just a little bit farther, come this November, if they're lucky enough to advance to the SODAC 16? Is that something that they've had on their bulletin board? Has that been a goal? I'm guessing. But what do you think you learned last year, getting that close, that this group can take into the postseason this year?
Confidence. That's probably one of the big things we've lacked. come into our gym or we go to their place, you see Warner, Northwestern, Fulton, and sometimes you can already be, oh boy, they're so good that I don't know if we can hang. We started to get that confidence, and we've got to build on more of that, hey, we're pretty good too, and if we do the right things, we can play with those teams. So it was the confidence of being, yes, we lost 3-0
Right.
to Burge last year, but I think all 3 games, if I remember right, were within 2 and 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
So it told those girls, man, we're right there. We can play too. We don't have to be the little dog on the porch. As a matter of fact, we talked about that really this week. Let's go be the big dog on the edge of the yard barking at people. And just having that confidence, saying that we're here to play too, and you have to beat us, we have to beat you. We're not already beaten when we walk in.
And one last thing to leave you with, and we try and cover things around the state, but I have ties up in Aberdeen, have followed that and just those programs, those schools forever. What makes volleyball in that part of the state so special and so competitive? What is there something to the water up there? What makes that level of volleyball, especially at the Class B level, so good?
You look at Northern and the people in the area that just flood in and enjoy basketball in the winter because it's something to do and everybody can get a hold of it. I think that's what has happened in the fall now, that volleyball's in the fall. It's those people have something to do, and the more exciting teams can make it, the more people are there, and the more people are there, it's showing kids that this is pretty cool. And you have some of these clubs that are really promoting what's going on, Kusler's clinics and Matchbox and those things. It's really driven something in the fall for these girls to be excited about. And the more they do that, others are coming along. So it started with Northwestern and Warner, and everybody else has really tried to ramp up and catch up with them.
That's awesome, bud. We appreciate it. Well, hey, we'll let you get back to your day. We are excited to watch you guys more. Definitely have our eyes on that Fulton Ipswich match coming up in about 10 days or so. And thanks for your time. And really interesting to watch those 10 seniors. I know there's others on the team, but that's a pretty special group. And want to wish you best of luck rest of the way. And hopefully we're maybe covering you on a 3-day weekend in November. Okay, bud?
That sounds great. Thank you for all your time.
You bet.
We are back doing another segment of Coffee with Coaches here with Bridgewater Emory head coach, Coach Ernster. Huskies are off to a really hot start this season, 12-0, and continue to be one of the few remaining undefeated teams, not only in Class A, but in the whole state. So, Coach, welcome, first of all. What has the beginning of the season really been like for you guys?
We had, obviously a really nice start. We are such a close team. We have a group of juniors and seniors who do the bulk of our varsity playing, and they're just from junior high. They have just been really close-knit group of girls as they've kind of moved through from junior high to playing junior varsity, and now they're at varsity. And so it's just fun to kind of be around them and to watch them work together. And so we're just taking the first part of our season and just kind of enjoying it, and enjoying watching them work together and work so well as a team.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've noticed too. I've watched a few of you guys' matches and have just noticed almost how business-like you guys are as a crew. And you guys have only dropped one set so far this year. What does this team look like during practice? Are they goofy? Do they like having fun, or are they really get in the gym, get our work done, get out?
Yeah, it's kind of like both a little bit. They're goofy. We have fun. We can when we're doing some scouting reports and stuff. Sometimes we can get, girls get off a little bit on a topic and kind of start talking about something else, but. Just pulling it back. That's kind of my job, pulling it back into focus, But they are business. They do know they have a job to do, and they're pretty mature group of kids too. So they're just they know what they need to do. They're prepared to do it, and that's usually what you see on the floor.
Yeah, definitely noticed that. And with a roster of majorly majorly made up with upperclassmen, as you said earlier, what does the leadership look like on this team? With so many different upperclassmen, do they kind of share a role? Everyone plays different parts. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think our seniors, we kind of look for leadership from them. Kerrigan Schultz, our setter, is really like our leader that can bring both like physical leadership and the mental, emotional leadership of the game. I think she does a really good job with that. Mara and Sarah Hofer are our other two seniors that play quite a bit, and they both bring something very different. Sarah brings like this calmness and kind of a confident demeanor. Mara brings the energy. She's the loud one. She's getting everybody riled up, and then I think we do have one more. I think Julia Weber, who's a junior, she's an outside for us. She brings like the physical leadership. Everybody looks to her, I think, when we need a point or we need something to happen. She's our like focus kind of at the same time. So I think we have lots of different roles happening there, but that's good too, because all the girls know that that's what's going on, and they respect each other, everybody, and it helps to have somebody different bringing different aspects of the game.
Yeah, everyone kind of finds their own niche and can lead in their own way. That's what great teams are made of. And with so much experience on this team, did you guys kind of have like a beginning of the season meeting? I know you guys were a state tournament team last year. What were kind of your goals for this season, or was that something that was laid out beforehand?
Kind of, I think, right from the end of volleyball last year, we were talking about, okay, now we got to do this again. We got to put this together to do this again. But yeah, at the beginning of the season, came together, and just that was something we almost didn't even have to talk about. That's where we want to be at the end of the season. We want to play well enough during the season to put us in a good place in the state for SODAC 16, and then be able to get back to the state tournament.
Yeah, of course. And I know you kind of talked a little bit about some of the individual athletes earlier, but I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about Taylor Schallenkamp too, another junior right side hitter. She plays a few rotations with Julia Weber, but also takes a lot of really good swings for you guys. What is she like as an athlete?
Oh, she's just a really good athlete. She's tall and long. She's perfect for volleyball. She can jump out of the gym. She hangs up there in the air forever. So if the set is not perfect, that's okay, because she's up there, and she's going to find it. And she's you talk about business-like. Taylor is very business-like also. You are not going to see a ton of emotion from her on the court. You're not going to see her super frustrated ever. I don't think I've ever seen her real frustrated. But you can see her excited. You can get her. She can get pretty excited and bring some energy too. But just a really good athlete, great player, great person.
Yeah, definitely. Just so much experience on this team, and with so many returners, we're just super excited to see what your crew can do. Did you guys have a lot of off-season training? I know, it's a different year for everyone, but were you able to at least talk to your girls a lot, maybe in Zoom meetings, or have them get together at a safer gym location or anything like that during the off-season?
We had several that worked with doing a conditioning and lifting program with somebody who works out of Dakota Wesleyan in Mitchell.
Okay.
And so we had several that went up there and did weights and conditioning up there. And then other than that, during the summer, when we started opening up our beginning of the summer, when we started opening up our gym, we would meet in a group of about 10. And we did that several times during the summer, couple times a week. So we were trying to meet together and kind of do some things, but it was different. We didn't get to any team camps. We didn't get to play in our league. So yeah, we were a little bit, didn't know what exactly we were going to see when the season started. But it's gone well for us. But I think that ties back to them being such a close-knit group too. That helped.
Yeah, definitely being able to work on that chemistry aspect, even, when physically you're not able to be there all the time. But before we talk about kind of your next couple games coming up, do you have a specific point in the season where you were like, okay, this team could be really special? Or what point, maybe in a game or during practice, kind of stands out to you as kind of a test to what the season could be?
Our very first game, we played McCook Central Montrose. This is my 6th year, I think, as head coach. I've never beat McCook Central Montrose before. We've never beat them since I've been here. And I just thought we played pretty well against them. They were tall. We were really undersized. But we really handled ourselves. There were 3 close sets and really didn't get frazzled very much, just kept playing. That was a really good game for us. And then we played Ethan and Platte Geddes in our tournament last weekend. And Ethan is another one that's tough for us because our schools are kind of close. And they've just had such a good program in basketball and volleyball through the years. And it's just like we're right there and we just can't quite get there. And beating them last weekend in our tournament was big for us, big mentally. Maybe not so much physically. I think we had them physical, but it was getting over that mental block. That was a big deal for us. And then Platte Geddes is great. They're a really good team. They have 2 fantastic hitters. They have an outside and a middle that are maybe the best hitters I've seen that we've played against this year. And we, were able to kind of get them frustrated and get them down. We got a lot of touches on blocks. We played some fantastic defense, and really got them frustrated over there on that side. And I was really proud of our team after our tournament too. So, they're just steps in the right direction. We're just going the way that we need to go. And that's, I think, what any coach wants to see. Yeah,
for sure. And confidence does wonders, especially in the game of volleyball. It can be the difference maker in so many matches. And, a 12-0 start will give you some confidence. And I know you mentioned you kind of have a few big days and weeks kind of coming up. Will you give us kind of a outline of what the next couple weeks looks like for your crew?
Sure. Well, we play Chester on Saturday tomorrow, and they're going to be tough. Chester's always tough. They've got a great team. They're well coached. They are state tournament every year. So I think physically and mentally it's going to be a challenge, but we're ready for that. We need to take on that mental and physical challenge of some of those best teams in the state just to see where we're at. And this is the perfect time to do it because now we're going to have a month here until regions start, so we'll know exactly where we're at, where we're sitting, and what we need to do. Next Tuesday, we're supposed to play Ethan. So like I said, they're a good team. We got them in our tournament, but I'm sure they're going to be, bringing their best game back at us. So we're going to have to be ready for that. And then a couple weeks down the road, we play Coleman Egan, and I just think they're real good this year too. They were a good team last year, and I think that they maybe are better this year. So that's one that we really have on our radar too. We play Avon on October 8th. I think they're pretty good. They have been in the past. I think they'll be a challenge also. So we have a few coming up here, but that's, like I said, that's good for us.
Yeah, well, you'll definitely be on our radar here next in the next couple weeks. I believe we watch your matches on NFHS is where they're streamed, so they'll definitely be on our spotlight matches and ones to watch for sure. But thanks so much, Coach. I know this is a busy time of year for you, but thanks for taking the time to talk to us today, and this will be up for our Patreon viewers, and I think they'll really enjoy it. So thanks so much for taking the time.
Well, thanks for calling.
Yeah, of course.
And thanks for covering our games always. You guys always do such a nice job.